wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroLada.com, and these are your astrology videos for April 2022. The April 2022 is full of new beginnings again. All planets are moving direct, so we're continuing into new territory. A lot of new unexpected events for the whole world, but for us personally as well, where we're required to adapt and to act very fast, and we'll be surprised constantly. And the eclipses are starting. The eclipses! The whole financial situation and economy might be shaken. We already can feel it a month before that with an eclipse in Taurus, and we all have to adapt very quickly. Let's find out how it will affect you personally. It's going to be a very exciting month. And Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, wow, this is divine blessings that are given to us. They almost like can fall on our lap, and divine intuition. So let's see how to adapt. But first I wanted to excitedly to tell you that I'm doing a course of 6 months. Me personally, I rarely do courses, that how to interpret the natal chart, the AstroLada method. We're going to be using all techniques that I've gathered from Western Babylonian, Greek, Vedic astrology that work the best, and I'll teach you these techniques, how to read a natal chart, to put it together, to make sense of it. And you need to know minimal astrology, what the signs are, what the planets are, what the houses mean. And I will teach you my methods, and we'll look at different life themes, how to look at love, how to look at career, and how to, if you're analyzing a chart, what's the most important things, where to start, and how to answer questions of astrology very easy. I love easy techniques. I don't like difficult astrology. Astrology should have easy answers. I'm an Aries. I need quite quick, fast, easy answers. Not looking at semi-squares and midpoints. No, it has to be very simple, sticks out. So much fire, political career, fantastic, or whatever, So I teach you how I do that with very easy astrology techniques. Join me. It's 30% discounted for the first 150 people. So thank you so much. Let's start the 12 signs. Cancer, rising sun or moon, April 2022. The month starts on the 1st of April with a new moon in your 10th house with Mercury. 10th house is career. There will be a renewal of your career, Cancers, which means you can receive, because Mercury is part of the new moon, you can receive some important news about your career, some important conversation that can happen with authority figures or bosses or with institutions. Some important developments with such institutions or bosses, or you can get, if you're your own boss, some new idea about a project or a business project of some sort, or some important business meeting with such people to discuss, developments of your career and so on. And some of you, it can even indicate starting a new job, for example, a new job interview, hearing something about such developments. And especially careers that are mercurial in nature, there can be a lot of renewal there with new ideas, marketing, communication, information, writing, speaking, sales, Mercury rules all of those things. So renewal there, energy moving, new ideas, and so on. So that's the first cycle we have. One cycle starting. Then we have another cycle starting. A lot of new beginnings this month, Cancers, for all of us. Then you have Saturn Mars conjunction starting in your 8th house, which is a 2-year cycle. So something that starts around this April, or that you get inkling from this April, might be unfolding for the next 2 years and influencing you. And the 8th house, and this is a bit more difficult because Saturn and Mars are triggering it. These are more testing planets. So some of you might be starting a new beginning. 8th house is connected, sometimes connected to death in the worst case scenario, not yours, but it might be in worst case scenario something involving with death, and you're dealing with something, wills or inheritances and things like that, that is a bit more stressful. That's the worst case scenario. Probably just 0.5% of you will go through that, but it's a possibility. For some of you, it can be just more the thought of such things. But another thing is that you're starting something. 8th house is on a more mundane level. It's connected to a big, to other people's finances and resources. So your partners, And some of you might be starting all your investments. If you've invested, say, in stocks or whatever, it's your eighth house, or if you've put your resources with others in some way, or it's money that comes to you through clients, or it's money that comes to you through pension funds and so on, or through government. So there might be some change happening there, and you need to adapt to it, and you need to put extra efforts there. There might be some crisis situation connected a little bit with that, with your partner's finances, so with put money together in a business, or with some investments, or you might just decide to kind of make them a bit less, take out some investments, change some things, um, because you need to rearrange something there. Or you might initiate some kind of new investments, basically, and some new, um, how you're going to do the finances with your partner, for example. You need to make some new plan, and that will require more efforts, that will require more consistency, that will require putting more energy and being more like a soldier, organized. Mars is the soldier, Saturn is the disciplinarian. So you have to be both more organized and more disciplinarian when it comes for, and you start in April already to realize you have to apply this when it comes to mutual finances, whether it's with your partner in business, whether it's with your marriage partner, and you'll be making some changes there, or even with taxes, eight houses, you might have to put some extra effort. In April in particular, you can feel it. That's a bit more stressful, connected to taxes, insurances, inheritances, and you might be dealing with such things that require consistent efforts. And it happens on the 5th of April, the conjunction, but it lasts longer. You can feel it even before that and after that. You might be asked to solve some difficult problem connected to finances, because it's a financial house, connected to, or even undertake some long-term project that will require a lot of more efforts on you. And on another more psychological level, the eighth house is connected to intimacy. You might be starting to delve, for example, to try and solve problems about intimacy in your life. And because Saturn and Mars are more harsh, it might be something that is stressing you, whether it's decreased sexual or desire, or whether it's decreased intimacy with a partner, or whether it's some working on some sexual trauma that has happened with you. But also it can be time where you start looking at more difficult psychological traumas from your past, and taking up some kind of a psychologist or your personal investigation into such matters, and trying to understand what is blocking you psychologically, because it's a very spiritual house, like it's a house connected to traumas, to hidden things from the past. And Saturn and Mars really want to put order and organize, and to get clarity and to deal with such problems. Saturn and Mars face problems face on. They don't avoid them, but they don't allow you to feel like, ooh, release, now I'm done with this trauma. No, you're like, take this trauma, face it, and I'll deal with it, and I'll work through it every day a little bit, and I'll conquer it, kind of thing. Sorry for the intensity, but it's kind of like, you can't just sit around, and you're not going to get results if you just sit around and wait for it to pass. Actually, the conjunction of Saturn and Mars can escalate some trauma within you that you need to, because of which you need to really address those issues and start working on them. And eighth house is also the house of astrology, of the occult, of such hidden things, and research. Some of you might undertake a research or study course of psychology or astrology or secrets or something hidden, or some other scientific research that might even take a couple of years, that they dig deep and they have to put a lot of hard efforts and energy into that to be very productive and to be very organized. But the more spiritual meaning is that Saturn and Mars ask you to take stock of your relationships with others, in a sense, how much you give, how much you receive, how much they give, how much you receive, and to really set boundaries and follow them through and act on about the balance of giving and receiving with others, whether in intimacy, whether in business, finances, how much you give and receive from clients or others, or anything that requires either spending time or energy with another person, and to kind of be even a bit ruthless if someone is taking too much from you, or you know, to be straight about it, and to, even if you have to cut off some connections with such people, or someone that is almost like abusive, abusing your power, abusing your trust, taking too much, not giving back. Eighth house people are ruled by that. Saturn Mars is like, get very real about such people and get a bit ruthless if necessary. And people that are creating trauma for you, you know, so you kind of um, and usually if we allow people to do this, it's triggered by some past trauma, and now you're gonna like put more boundaries there and tackle such issues. I know it's not easy themes, but I had to mention everything that it is, whether it's other people's resources, whether it's financial house as well. But I would also advise you not to take so many financial, let's say, um, risks, or even something to do with your taxes and so on, you know, to be more straightforward, because these two planets, they're not forgiving planets, you know. So be as straightforward as moral there with your finances, with others, with your dealings with others. And also if someone owes you money or something, you might be quite straightforward and go and kind of demand that they start dealing with this issue, for example. Okay, so that's where you're a bit harsher with such matters of the eighth house. And of course, eighth house is about obsessive behaviors, and to some extent also addictions that have more obsession and control over you. So it can be also about being very straightforward about such things and removing them from your life, and um, starting on a psychological exploration, where you have to develop like iron. Mars and Saturn is like iron willpower, where you tackle such eighth house matters. You might have to adopt iron willpower to tackle matters regarding other people's finances, resources, how much they give, how much you give and receive, and your, or also relationships with in-laws, funny enough, or even some battle that might be happening about money with your partner, for example, with your, you know, some situation there possible, or a fight of values, or you might have to have willpower of iron willpower in everything eighth house, dealing with traumas and so on. We spoke about that. Now let's go to the nicer energy. Jupiter and Neptune are going to be joining in your ninth house. And that happens once every 13 years. It's starting a cycle that will last 13 years. I don't have Jupiter, I can't find it again. And Venus will be there. So it's starting a new cycle now in April, around the 12th of April. It starts, that can unfold for you new inspiration for the next 12 years, because it's happening in your ninth house. The ninth house is connected to inspiration, meaning in life, purpose in life, something that aligns you to your higher purpose, something that makes you connected to your higher self. It's where you connect to God or your higher self, and where you can have experiences of it all makes sense. And Jupiter and Neptune are very gentle planets, and they remove barriers. So it can remove barriers to some of you in regards to if you have a confusion where you're supposed to, who are you? It's one of the self houses, the ninth house. Who are you supposed to be? Where are you supposed to be heading in the future? What will give you meaning and purpose? What will give your soul most joy and meaning and joy-giving wisdom? This is the ninth house, where you feel most aligned to your path. So this conjunction can help you have intuitive insights about aligning it to your path, and the path of Dharma, which brings the most joy, doing the thing that you're most naturally talented and attuned for. So hopefully some of you will just, over the course of those few weeks in April, especially the middle of April, they might just wake up with a realization. I know where I want to head. I feel more, I feel more, I don't have any more barriers towards who I am. But Neptune can dissolve some of the old ego structures, which is good, you know. And because the ninth house is connected to how you approach your ego as well, and who you think you are. So it can dissolve them, and new, more pure, more gentle image of yourself can emerge. On another level, it can bring you inspiration. In April, you can start feeling inspiration about the future, to study something new. Ninth house is higher knowledge, And it might be something more spiritual in nature, and it's higher knowledge. It's not just learning how to drive to study something new. It's more like something more theoretical, bigger, grander, like learning astrology. Can be, some of you can be fantastic time when Jupiter and Neptune are meeting in your ninth house to undertake many years study of something more mystical, more spiritual, to start a university course of some sort that you gain a lot of joy from long term and a lot of blessings, because when Jupiter and Neptune join together, they bring blessings. And Jupiter is divine, it's wisdom, divine wisdom. Neptune is divine love. When these two join together, so you can start studying something or learning something. You don't necessarily have to study it in a university or in a course. It can be a lifelong passion that you start of some sort that brings you, that there's a lot of love you put into it and a lot of wisdom. So stay open for those inspirations. A new inspirational figure can appear in your life, like a teacher figure that is full of love, that is full of wisdom. It might be in the face even of a, I don't know, something that uplifts your spirit and soul. It might be even in the face of an animal, because Cancer, because Jupiter also rules your sixth house of animals, and pets. But it can serve as a purpose giving and meaning giving beacon of light for you, and a love giving as well, because Neptune is there. It can be even for some of you that, because Sagittarius, Jupiter rules the sixth house, like a new job inspiration that you get about. So you have to pre-qualify or study or learn something new that brings you meaning and purpose and more luck in life, because the ruler of the sixth joins with the ruler of the ninth in the ninth house. It might be some path. Jupiter is the ruler of the sixth house, some path on learning about health and how to take care of your body and nutrition, and that it comes, you feel very inspired about, and starting something new about teaching. Ninth house is to teach, so you might be starting to teach about about nutrition and health to others, and it might be like a blessing to you, and you really love it. It removes barriers towards teaching in regards to health or nutrition or such careers. That the sixth house as well. Or it can be starting a new teaching project for some of you. Jupiter and Neptune meeting there. It can be a long-term exploration and joy that you derive from teaching or counseling others. Ninth house is to give advice. Or you can receive some incredible advice. You can go to a teacher or an astrologer or psycho, whatever it is. And even if you don't go purposefully for advice, this month you can receive some advice that puts you on the right path, aligns you with your higher self, gives you inspiration. You can find your teacher. You can find your spiritual teacher, some of you. Jupiter and Neptune are very spiritual. When they get together in the ninth house, it's a divine blessing. Plus, you can receive some messages and omens. This is one of the divine houses where God communicates with us through symbology and almost together with the 12th house, but this one in particular. You can receive a lot of signs in April, whether it's you see two birds on a branch, whatever you're thinking about that time, you have to decipher it, what it means for you. This omen, you can see repeating numbers or whatever. And your intuition can be highly powerful, and you can be just downloading information or inspiration and finding inspiration, your worldview. You can even start having a new worldview, which is more spiritual about the world, and which is more a bit like both Jupiter and Neptune are very attractive planets, like the law of attraction, that the good things that you raise your vibration to them, you attract them. You can have some spiritual insights about your future and so on. Oh, it can also remove barriers about gaining, traveling to foreign countries, remove barriers about learning, teaching, remove barriers about gaining documents for foreign residents. You can even have some, if you go on a journey now, it can feel very mystical. You can meet very unusual, inspirational people, and Venus joins there, the ninth house. You might even fall in love or feel like renewal of love in your life of some sort. So this ninth house, or if you go to some seminar, to some higher knowledge event or some spiritual activity event as well, or just somewhere where you have to travel and meet with more educated or more spiritual people, something, a divine blessing can come to you from there. you know, or you can even meet new friends that are foreign and that bring, or that are spiritual, that bring more expansion to you, more understanding of some sort. So all of those things are ninth house activities. um, Jupiter and Neptune aligning there, opportunities, new horizons appearing in a gentle way that is not disruptive. While the Saturn Mars, you know, you might be dealing with some of those eighth house issues that we talked about, but I think it's because Saturn and Mars are not making direct aspect to Cancer. I think Cancerians, especially Cancerians born around the 20th to the 25th degree of Cancer, will feel it very strong. This inspirational energy from the ninth house. Okay, and then the last but not least is there is a full moon eclipse that is happening. The eclipses are starting, Cancers. You always feel eclipses. You can start feeling a bit more edgy towards the end of April. This grace of Jupiter Neptune conjunction is still around. You still feel like plugged into the collective consciousness, and you still feel like you're seeing things from a higher perspective, and you know this is the ninth house. You just know. And there is a lot more faith when Jupiter and Neptune are together. That's very rare. As I said, it's not going to repeat in 12 years, and it's never going to repeat in your ninth house in your life again, unfortunately. So this kind of inflow of inspiration and divine healing that comes to you, Cancers, and that will clear the path for the future of you and give you understanding. But there is an eclipse towards the end of the month. Something is shifting collectively for the whole world, and you might feel a bit more uneasy because it is the moon that is eclipsed. That's you. Sorry, it's the sun that's eclipsed. It's solar eclipse, not lunar. New moon eclipse, as we call it, solar eclipse. And it's happening in your 11th house with Uranus. You might feel more edgy and antsy around the 30th of April, a little bit before, a little bit after. But it indicates it's with the North Node and it's Rahu, is very new energy. For the next 1 year, they can be a very powerful new energy of renewal of, and it takes a whole year. So the whole year is under this influence after that. From this April, the end 2022 to April 2023, you can notice that a lot of new friendships enter your life. And a lot of more unusual people enter your life because Rahu and Uranus, they're a bit quirky. Rahu is very desire driven, very glamorous planet, more materialistic, more ambitious, worldly success driven. So such people can enter in your life to inspire you into such things. And Uranus is more esoteric. Uranus is more unusual, quirky, but excited, youthful, very youthful energy. Uranus rules Kundalini, so they can help you raise your energy levels. They can help you expand your mind, see things from a new perspective. So some kind of even initially there might be some disruptive friendships that kind of shake you up, that appear into your life. Plus the 11th house is the house of goals and dreams that we have for ourselves, especially socio-economic goals and dreams. A new such can appear in your life out of the blue. Is it maybe because you need to meet some new friends or new people, or you join some social network or whatever, or some online group that kind of excite you towards a new goals and dreams that you suddenly become very obsessed and excited about, or some new ways of making money and gains, because the 11th house rules gains. So some new ways you might have to incorporate some groundbreaking technology or some kind of a new methods to gain clients or to make more money or to reach wider audience, because 11th house is business related as well. You might have some new business ideas for more gains, or some new idea that is sudden, and it might take you a whole year even, and you work on it to gain more audience, to some new project or some new product that you invent to bring out to the larger audience of the 11th house of clients, the world, the market of gain of ideas and things. And you might get excited about such opportunities and start participating in them. And of course it's a eclipse, so there can be some crisis in friendships, and with gains that happens, that makes you reorient yourself towards a different social circle to move in, and different business activities to do as well. So thank you so much, Cancers, and I hope you join me, some of you, on this course of exploration, how to interpret the natal chart, which will be 6 or 7 weeks long. And with Jupiter Neptune meeting in your ninth house, you know, might be a fantastic time to start learning something new that will give you a lot of sense of joy and um, satisfaction as well for many years. And yeah, you'll see how I interpret natal charts and put it all together and weave a story. Thank you.